Hello and welcome to the Jewish Curiosity Podcast, where we ask questions and take journeys. We're in the midst of a journey to answer the question, who am I? And in this episode, we're going to be dealing with elements in the natural world where we find them in ourselves and how we can use them to do good in the world. I hope you enjoy. There are four main spiritual elements in the physical world. These are fire, air, water, and earth. Now, they exist in the world in their purest form, but also they exist as elements in other things. Now, we as humans are one of those such things, and we have these four things inside ourselves. So let's explore this a little bit. We'll begin by exploring the negative characteristics which relate to these elements in ourselves, because these are things which relate a bit more to nature and physicality. And then, hopefully at the end, we'll get to a positive twist. So first, we have fire. Now, fire is something that destroys other things in order to fuel its own survival and growth. Therefore, in the human being, it corresponds to anger and arrogance. The relationship to anger is obvious. When you're angry, you can even feel the fire burning inside of you. But also it relates to arrogance, because arrogant people put others down for the sake of their own aggrandizement. Either they do so in their mind, or sometimes, unfortunately, they even do so in practical actions. We then come to air. Now, air is something which is light, it lacks substance, it's immaterial. So in the human being, it corresponds to scoffing and boasting. Scoffing is when you don't take things seriously. There's something which should have been important and you take away all of its meaning. Boasting is when you yourself are full of air. You're saying words, but there's no substance behind what you're saying. Have you ever come across this? Have you ever heard a person speak, and then when you get to the end of what they said, you realize that they didn't really say anything? So that's what's going on in those moments, is that they had air inside their words and nothing more. The next thing we have is water. Now, water is fluid, it's flowing, and it's pleasant. So in the human being, in our current investigation, it corresponds to the desire for physical pleasures. Now, it's true that water is also life-giving, but when you think about it, the things which are life-giving when you do them in a healthy way, when you do them in an unhealthy way, are selfish pleasure-seeking. For example, things like eating and marital intimacy, when they're done in a healthy way, that's life. When they're done in an unhealthy way, that's lust. And finally, we have earth. Now, earth is still, it's heavy, and it's immobile. In the human being, it corresponds to depression and inertia. When your mood is low, you feel physically heavy. It's hard to move. And when you speak to people who have been actually depressed, you'll find that the most common thing you'll hear is that it's hard, or maybe sometimes even impossible, to get out of bed. That's what's happening here. Their power of earth inside themselves is trying to take over their lives. That's a very difficult thing to deal with. So we have these four elements. We find them in the physical world, and we find them in the physicality-focused parts of our character. So what should we do with all this? I think we can do three things. Thing number one is that we can be self-aware. We know that when we're going through certain emotional states, we can now attach those to these particular things which are going on inside of us. And if we feel a particular challenge in one of these areas, we can know that that's what we need to address. The second thing is we can fight them. Once you've diagnosed a problem, you can go towards a path of treating that problem. So, for example, if you know you have challenges in the realm of anger and arrogance, that's fire. You know you need to fight back with humility. You need to go to the opposite and fight against that thing. Additionally, if you have a struggle with heaviness or inertia, we know you need to fight that with simcha, with joy, with happiness. And thirdly, and almost in contrast, we can channel them. See, it's true that it's important sometimes to break your bad characteristics, but sometimes it's important to hijack those same characteristics and use them for the good. So for example, if you're a water person, you're someone who desires physical pleasures, and you know that there's something important that you need to do, but you can't quite motivate yourself to do it, you could give yourself an incentive of a physical pleasure. You could have an ice cream afterwards, but say, I don't really want to do this thing, but I know I attach myself to physical pleasures, so let me make that as a reward for this valuable thing. And then you'll be on the path to doing that good thing. Additionally, if you're a wind person, you struggle to take things seriously, There's a time and a place for that, actually. Sometimes people need cheering up. Sometimes their situation is becoming too serious for them in their own mind, and they need to loosen up and something lighthearted. And that's something that if you know you have this challenge, or rather strength, in the area of air, that's something you can bring to the table to help others too. So with that, we have the 4 elements. We have fire, air, water, and earth. And with this, we can understand ourselves, we can know what we're up against, and we can know what unique opportunities we have to do good in the world. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Jewish Curiosity podcast. If you want to find out more or check out more episodes, you can go to www.jewishcuriosity.com, or you can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Have an amazing day, and hope to see you next time.